What is up, Coach Emma here, and welcome back to the Fit Habit Life podcast, where we cut through the noise, talk real health and fitness, sustainable fat loss, and habits that actually work. And on today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a kind of fun topic that I've been personally experimenting with and just wanted to share. So, how to fuel your training to get the most out of it. And this goes for endurance, but also strength training, and how to get the most out of it, and why should you even bother to worry about fueling. If you want to improve your body composition, if you want to get stronger, if you want to feel better, if you want to have more energy, if you want to be less sore after your training sessions and you want to get better quality sleep, this episode's for you. So before we jump in, if you've been listening to the podcast and enjoying the show, if you could rate the show, share the show, or subscribe to the podcast, that just helps me get in front of more people, which helps me help more people, which is the goal of this show. So anyway, fueling for performance. And again, this goes for strength training and cardiovascular endurance training. And I'm going to talk about different types of cardio and how to fuel those different types of activity. And yeah, so let's jump in. And I guess caveat before, doing any of this more advanced stuff, like really focusing on actual grams of carbohydrates and other things, it's like really just getting a basic meal schedule, meal routine, being very diligent about tracking your calories, tracking your macros, and getting a good idea of where you're at now is going to be really crucial and really important for this. But that doesn't mean these things don't apply, and we can talk about strategies. If you're not really dialed in with your tracking, you don't even know how much you eat on a regular basis, and you're like, I don't really care about what my body composition looks like, which is not very common, so I'd be shocked if you said that. But other strategies to help you optimize performance with your nutrition to help you get stronger and perform better. And there's some nuances to this, obviously, but there's some ways and strategies to do this without tracking. But tracking is the best way, and that's going to mitigate any potential excessive body fat, but also help you really science your results and have an actual measurable way to quantify how much your body actually needs for these bouts of endurance or these training sessions. So again, this is not something that I help that many people with. I've helped quite a few people with it, some with just habits and behaviors around training, some with trying to find a technique that works for them to optimize for mountain bike races. But this is something I've been digging into myself because I think it's a lot of fun and it's kind of cool to see from a mindset shift perspective. For those of you that don't know, I signed up for a Ragnar Trail race, which is like a 120-mile relay race with 8 of us. So I'm running about 15-ish miles over the course of 24 hours, split into 3 legs. So that's kind of what really got me to try to focus on this and how to optimize this. But before that, I was like, okay, I'm not in a fat loss season and I'm going on these really long hikes. And I had, before I never paid attention to what I ate, but my legs would always be really sore. And now that I know what I know, I'm like, I'm in shape. There is something lacking here. So my friend Laura, who's been on the podcast quite a bit, helps a lot of people with performance nutrition. And so I've picked her brain a little bit. And so going into hiking season, I'm like, okay, this year I actually want to not feel like crap, because the first hike I did, I couldn't walk well for like a week. So that's kind of what really got me into this. And then signing up for that, I'm like, well, cool. I've been learning a bit more about training for like endurance activities and how to fuel for those endurance activities. So anyway, so the past maybe 2.5 months, I've been kind of digging into this personally through anecdote and shifting my perspective on how to, always be skinny and small, but how to actually get better at these things and fuel my body, fuel my muscle tissue, and get more out of my training sessions and get more out of my body and help my body recover properly so that I can keep doing this cool stuff that I love to do. So that's kind of where my mindset is now, which is really cool to be in this space. Do I love the way I look? No, but I never have. So, and maybe I have a little bit of body fat to lose. Could I be leaner? Probably. But right now that's not the goal, and I'm still moldy. So I'm still going through a mold detox, and so don't want to be in a huge fat loss phase. I want to make sure I have enough fuel, that my body's not overly taxed when it's trying to process and detoxify junk. So anyway, but yeah, and I'll talk about the different types of activity. There's like, people will use zones, right? Like zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5. And those are basically different levels of intensity. So most endurance, quote unquote, endurance activity that's not for competition is zone 2. Your heart rate's probably between 120 and 150 beats per minute. And you can maintain that for a long time. When thinking about the higher zones, your heart rate is more elevated, and it's more taxing on the muscle tissue and on your overall body. It's a lot more challenging, and your body utilizes a lot more glycogen. And so depending on how crazy you are and what you do, those sessions usually tend to be a lot shorter. But there might be a mix of zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, zone 1 within a workout. So generally speaking, there is like a fueling strategy that seems to work well for most people and might even require more depending on the activity that you're doing. So, and I use this by hour strategy. So, and I've heard people say, if you're training for under an hour, you don't need intra-workout carbs. It really depends. Would it benefit you? Probably. So why would you not do it? Like if I'm running in trails for an hour or maybe 45 minutes, having a gel or two is going to help me way more get through that run and help my body recover better than me just not eating because I don't have to. We're talking about performance here. How do I get the most out of my training session so I can go the next day and the day after that and the day after that and recover well and push the performance, push the intensity? So might as well have fuel. But here's how you kind of calculate it. So there's lower intensity activities or activities that you're not pushing the entire duration, like strength training. Most strength training sessions are 45 minutes to an hour. You don't necessarily need to have carbs if you just ate some simple carbs before starting. But if you're really focusing on optimizing performance and pushing your training, having some intra-workout carbs can help. So what I personally do is I will have some maple syrup in my water. And usually on leg day, I will have some other maybe like 10 to 20 grams of carbs with, so like total amount of carbs is like, I don't know, maybe 20 to 50 grams. No, not that much. 20 to 40 grams for the hour. Usually on the lower end. Because strength training is in the bouts that you're doing. If you're doing like very low rep, like 1 rep, 2 rep, not a lot of glycogen is being utilized. But if you're doing like more of a hypertrophy focus, like 6 to 15 rep range, like your body's definitely leveraging glycogen. And so having more in that session is going to allow you to push that session more. So since doing that, I've gotten way stronger. So personal anecdote there. But also if you have to eat like close to 400 grams of carbs a day, it's really hard to get that in. So that's where leveraging some liquid carbs like maple syrup, coconut water, and even if your stomach can handle Gatorade and you like simple sugars like that, that's fine too. I don't personally like them and they don't make me feel good. So that's why I opt for more whole foods options, but those could work. Then with like endurance activities, if you're doing like a zone 2-ish for the most part, like maybe you're doing indoor cycling for an hour plus, you probably need about 30 to 60 grams per hour. If you're pushing intensity for extended periods of time, you're going to need closer to 90 grams per hour. And this is where it really depends. So for the hike run that I did yesterday, I think I was out there moving for about an hour and a half. And I'm like, okay, I did a 6-mile run Monday and I had 2 gels and I was fine. And I had toast and jam before and I had a rice bowl after. And that was perfect. But this is a hike run. And the elevation gain was double. So I climbed almost 2,000 feet of elevation in 6 miles. And it was a loop. So it was like probably 3 miles with 2,000 feet of elevation gain. And so I'm like, okay, I'll pack extra carbs, but I probably don't need that much more because it's only 30 minutes more. But also my intensity was way harder than it was in the other run because of the incline and the elevation. Because I was at a higher elevation, which is harder on the body, and the incline was steeper. So on the actual run, so before the run, I had my full normal egg rice breakfast. If you haven't seen it, check my Instagram. Eggs, egg whites, spinach, broccoli, rice. Sounds weird, really good. I fry the eggs and the egg whites in a pan and put it over rice and broccoli with some sauteed spinach on top with a runny yolk. Important. So, anyway, that was my breakfast. And I packed coconut water to have when I got there. So I had some simple carbs right away for right when I started. So I drank that, went on the run. About a mile in, I was like, man, my legs are already tired. But there was a lot of elevation gain in that first mile. So I had a gel about 1.25 miles in. Or not even a mile. I don't even know if it was a mile in. Like, that's the crazy thing. And then about a mile after that, 1.5 miles, and maybe it was 2.5 miles in, maybe 2 miles in, to be honest. Maybe not even 2 miles in. I had the other gel. So I'm like, crap, well, I'm glad I brought this sleeve of Cliff Blocks, which are basically gummies, and they probably have almost 50 grams of carbs, so each gel pack had 25. So I packed about 100 grams of carbs to have during the run, but, right, it was an hour and a half, so I should have packed more on the run. But I had about 20 grams when I got there. And then I had a Z-bar for afterwards. It was not enough. But I didn't do the calculation before I got there. I'm just like, I'm going to bring double what I brought the last time. And double wasn't enough. So, anyway, I made a mistake there. But now I know. So, I also didn't think the intensity would be that high. But I also didn't think that much about it. So, point being, lower intensity training, probably about 30 grams of carbs an hour. That works great for strength training. That works great for lower effort, zone 1-ish, zone 2-ish sort of training. But even for zone 2, you can push to about 60 grams per hour. And really, it's like 1 gram per minute. And then for higher intensity stuff, you could even push 90 to 120 grams of carbs per hour. So 1.5 to 2 grams of carbs per minute. And I'm very whole foods focused, right? Like with my clients, most of them want to lose body fat, but also want to get stronger, feel better, improve their performance and stuff. Most of my clients aren't doing these big bouts of endurance training. I have some that are, but most aren't. But if you are, and that's why I don't talk about this that much with my clients, but if you are, having gels, and there are whole foods based gels like Honey Stingers, BPN, Go gels, or whatever. There's a couple different brand options. I'd recommend trying those if those don't sit well. The Clif Blocks, it's organic cane sugar. I mean, it's sugar in a cube. That tastes really good. The salted watermelon one is the best in my opinion. That works really well too, because your body's going to utilize it right away. So the more easily digestible it is, if it sits fine in your stomach, the more energy you're going to get from it. And once you start doing that when you're hiking and running, you're never going to be able to go back, because you're going to notice the difference in how you perform and how your body feels before and after your training sessions. It's pretty wild. So that's kind of the gist of how to fuel your performance. But really, it's also important to make sure throughout the day that you're getting enough carbohydrates in. And it really depends on the person, on your overall activity levels, what your body can handle metabolically, what feels comfortable for you, and your meal timing and meal choices. And I mean, so many other things, the amount of muscle mass you have on your frame, your body composition, that will determine how many carbs you actually need per day. And unfortunately, there isn't really a general number that I can just throw out there. I wish there was. That would make coaching way easier. But most people, it really depends on how you feel. Or like most people, macros are not like some easy calculation you can do. So that's where it's very nuanced. But my goal is to get most of my clients to a place to where they can eat a lot of carbs and they can maintain their body composition with eating a lot of carbs, and they feel good and their performance improves and they have a better relationship to food, so that they can eat a lot of carbs and just feel good and enjoy living their life and not stress about gaining weight. But if you do have less muscle, your ability to handle a lot of carbs is going to decrease. But a cool study did just come out that if you were eating in a surplus, but most of that surplus came from carbohydrates versus coming from fat, the macronutrient source, your body put on less weight with the same amount of calories. So that's pretty cool. I'll see if I can find the study. Bill Campbell talked about it on his Instagram. So, carbs are better for body composition and performance, and really important for quality of life, and really important for fueling your training. So anyway, point being, I can't give you macros through this podcast, but if you're curious about how I would change your macros and how I might optimize your nutrition to improve your body composition, fuel your performance, get you stronger and faster, just shoot me a message. I've helped a lot of clients with that. It's a lot of fun. And I'd be more than happy to chat and see if we'd be a good fit. And if you're like, no, I'm good, I got that all dialed in, sweet. I hope this episode was helpful and I hope you use it to get stronger and faster. And if you do, tag me and share it. Just let me know, because sometimes, like, talking to myself on here, I never know if this is actually helpful. So if you guys reach out and you have any ideas for me to do an episode about a specific topic, or you want me to get a guest on this show to talk about a specific topic that I'm not an expert in, I know a lot of different coaches that are experts in different things, which is why I had Laura on. I'm going to have her on again in a couple weeks, and we're going to talk through what I've been doing for Ragnar and how her Tour de Mont Blanc went. I am French, so I have to say it properly. She did a big hike in the Swiss, French, and Italian Alps thing. 7-day journey. Anyway, she's going to be back on in a couple weeks to talk through that. But yeah, just reach out. I read my messages. I don't have anybody who handles my social media. So if you have questions about anything I talk about or any suggestions about things you want me to talk about, just reach out. I know a lot of other cool people who could probably answer the questions that I could get on here. So anyway, that's it for today. I rambled a lot. Hopefully this was helpful. And if it was, you can share the show, rate the show, subscribe, because that helps me debunk the other crap that's out there. Anyway, have a great one, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.